Hello, this is Jose Luis here at Parametric Camp, and welcome to this new video where we're going to do an unboxing of the new release of Grasshopper 2.0. As you may know, Grasshopper 1.0 has been around for many years already. It's a very stable environment. It's very successful, very popular. It's a really good introduction to the art of parametric modeling for beginners and also a very deep one for experts. And Grasshopper 2 has been in the works for many years already now. As of last week, from the recording of this video, it was announced that the first alpha for Grasshopper was released and it was going to be shipped with the new work in progress version of Rhino 8. So it is still, as per the comments of David Rutten, the creator of Grasshopper, it's still very alpha. It's still in its very early stages. It's still not all it's not all feature full as he wants to make it, but it is the first test to many of the things that we expect to come from Grasshopper 2. So we're going to spend this video literally just, I'm going to open Grasshopper 2 and Rhino 8 for the first time, and I'm just going to be taking a look at what is going on, how it feels, how it looks, and how the difference that I see from Grasshopper 1. I also would like to take the opportunity of this video to take another look at a new feature that is being released with the new Rhino 8, which is Rhino code, which is basically a C# and a Python editor inside of pure Rhino. All right. So I think that's going to be super exciting, and this is going to be a super early, super exploratory video. So don't expect something very polished or very formal, because I'm literally just trying this for the first time right now. All right, so let's unbox Rhino. Let's unbox Grasshopper 2. Let's do this. Beautiful. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to install the work in progress version of Rhino, which at the moment of this recording is version number 8, and is the one that will be shipping Grasshopper number 2. So if I click on download, I get to this link. You can download the latest version of Rhino work in progress. I believe you have to have a Rhino 7 license. I may do it right now. So I've done this offline, and I've gotten what have I gotten? Yes. So I downloaded the thing, and and then the thing did something, whatever, and installed positively. And then I ended up with this new Rhino work in progress that I'm going to double click right now. And you can't see it, but on my other screen, this message is popping up. Rhino has detected new plugins. This is plugins that I have in my Rhino 7 installation, and which apparently they have transferred. So that is nice. All right. And I don't want to auto update this. And I really hate the gray background of Rhino. So the first thing that I'm going to do with my new Rhino is change the appearance and change the background to a pure white, and then the major grid line to a very thin gray, and to the minor grid line to an even thinner gray. All right. And now my color OCD, it's a little, well, the thin line was actually a little too much. Anyway, that's not the point here today. So we are in the new version of Rhino, which as of this recording is work in progress from the 29th of March, which is, I'm recording this in first week of April. So that's fine. I'm not I'm not a Rhino user. I barely use Rhino just for modeling in itself. But it looks very similar so I don't know really what the new features of Rhino 8 are. I'm actually not that very interested in that. So I'm going to let that for you. I'm going to let you to explore and launch Grasshopper, hopefully. No, this is Grasshopper 1. Oh, yes, I remember, because I read in the forums, and it has all the plugins from my previous Rhino 7 installation, so that's great. Because I read in the forum that that Grasshopper 2 will now be shipped as a package of sorts. So if we go to the documentation, to the forum posting that came out 7 days ago, it says that Grasshopper 2 Alpha is available for public testing, Rhino 8, and you can download it from the package manager. So, and starting with the Grasshopper 2 command. Okay, so let me do that. I'm going to dock this here. I'm going to dock this here. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to open the package manager. Package manager, beautiful. And then online, I'm going to search for Grasshopper. Okay. So it's not showing up. Grasshopper is not showing up. Why is this not showing up? Include pre-releases. Maybe, yes, there you go. So you had to do pre-releases to get the alpha. And I'm going to install this, which is work in progress from yesterday, literally. I'm actually recording this on April 8th. And I see the people who are in the chat right now helping me make this video. They're like, check the pre-release. A lot of people have done this already, right? Okay, so I am installing Grasshopper 2 right now. And hyper elements for Grasshopper. This is quite interesting, actually. Okay. So I am installing Grasshopper 2, and I guess I have to restart Rhino. So I'm going to restart Rhino, minimize this, and what is my Rhino? So my Rhino. And again, I believe this is working for me because I do have a Rhino 7 license. I read somewhere that you need that to run Rhino 8 work in progress. And if I click here, I still get Grasshopper 1 because here it says that you need to start it with the underscore G2 command. So let's do that. Underscore G2. Whoa, look at all this stuff. What is this? Ooh, this looks juicy. Okay, may need to take a look at that. Whoa, Grasshopper 2 Alpha. That's awesome. All right, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Choo-choo! Folks, this is the first time I open Grasshopper 2, which has been on the works for almost a decade now. This looks exciting. Beautiful. So what do we have right now? I'm freaking out. I really don't know what to do now. All right. My first impression by looking at this is that, well, definitely the UI has gotten a huge revamp. So if I browse through the tabs, we can see that the icons have been absolutely redesigned and they look really freaking good. So huge thumbs up for that, David, or whoever designed this. Look at this. They're actually really nice. And I actually read somewhere that now they're not icons. Double click this parameter to set multiple values. Oh, I'd read somewhere that they're now vector, they're not bitmaps, so you can zoom in infinitely and have like high resolution. So that's also great. Of course, I am an icons person. We in this channel, I believe we are icon people. So I think this is great. As opposed to my friend Diego Pinochet, who was criticizing Grasshopper because of the icon revamp. Diego, boo. And so that looks great. The icons look really good. And I see that the interface also now has a bunch of stuff here. So I had the name of the file. I have these are the files that I have opened. Okay. And I have like a solver to turn on and off. This document has a valid solution. And then I have a couple icons here that you can't see with my chair. So let me actually move this somewhere else here. Let me move this to the right. Oops. Okay, I'm gonna break something. And let me just go backwards like this. And all right, so here now we have turn preview on, preview wires, mesh previews, window select wires, window select objects. So I think these are options to select stuff. And then we have a lot of options here in the menu. So I guess probably the first thing we want to do is, can we just make something real quick? How about we try making let's try making the Berlin Holocaust Memorial Museum. All right, I really like that exercise. So we're going to try that, and we're going to use that as a way to explore Grasshopper. Okay, the new Grasshopper. So let's get that done. Okay, so let's get started then. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a point here in Rhino. We're going to make a grid of points. We're going to create calculate the distance to a surface, and then we will make the blocks. Okay. The first thing I want to do is I want to make a point. That's probably the first thing you should ever do when you're doing parametric modeling. So I have my point. I dropped a point from XYZ and I right click and I see that this is very different actually. So now, what is my point? First of all, I see the colors, the preview colors are different. Now instead of red, it's gray. And when I select, it's this kind of faint orange, I believe, or pink. I can't really tell well. I can enable this component to work or not. That's actually nice, and make it visible or not. Do I have shortcuts as well? The shortcuts are not really working, so I cannot do at this point Control Q for enabling visualization or not. Probably that's not there. I can also not, I can double click to search for something. So point, Hilbert point, all this. So I can double click for that, but I cannot right click and I cannot middle click. So we still don't have options for the canvas. It looks like I have sliders here, so I'm going to drop a slider, move the slider incrementally with the arrow keys. Let's see that. I cannot move the slider. I'm using the arrow keys, but I am somewhere else. Nope. Okay, I am not going, nope. It's not working yet. So I guess that will work at some point. But I'm going to, oh, what just happened there? What? Okay, so I got that one and copy pasting. Nice. Did you see that? The copy pasting just copy pasted right underneath and given a nice spacing. Wow, that is a very nice. And can we get rid of this thing? How can I get? Okay. Did you see that? Okay, and if I click, I cannot align them right now. So I this. Right. But that is actually sweet. So can I do that with? So if I copy and paste this, it shows up right underneath. It shows up. I cannot drag with caps so that it's aligned, but that was actually quite sweet. So I'm going to right click here and I'm going to set that. Oh, this is also quite nice. The grip, draw a label around the valley. What is this? Okay. So more or less, that's kind of nice. And the display, this is quite beautiful. All right. The color, we can choose the color picker is also quite nice. Look at this. Saturation, we're in HSV. Let's go to RGB. So I have a color here, like an orange color of sorts. Then we have CMYK, HSPs. Oh, this is very nice. I'm liking this. Color picker, what is this? Oh, from a PNG? Can I choose from a PNG? Or what? Okay, so I downloaded, I guess I downloaded in my desktop, I downloaded this. Okay. I need a PNG. Let me find the PNG. Okay, so, all right. So I have a PNG now. I have a PNG on my desk. Let me do this again. Okay, so now I have on my desktop this PNG, like a grace, like I have false color image I did the other day for a paper that I was writing. So let's do this. I'm not sure what happened with that color picker. Anyway, I'm getting stuck here. But I like this. And then the domain, this would be the, so X coordinate. And what is this? Whoa, look at this help menu. It's very nice. Constant picker, content generating. Whoa, this is beautiful. Wow, it really looks, it really shows that this is created by a designer. Wow, okay, very nice. And then, and the limits are going to be 10. I guess that was the limit. All right. Yes. And now I can go. All right. So then I'm going to delete these two and I'm going to copy and paste. I really, really, really like the idea of copying and pasting. Should be 0. Copying and pasting automatically align. That is really, really neat. What else do we have? What if I want to make Z a fixed value? So I can double click and can I make a panel? Panel contains no data to display. Can I? Oh, can I? I cannot double click. And I can plug this in here. See, no data. Okay, the point doesn't exist. All right, so let me copy and paste this. Okay, this is the panel. I'm not getting anything. So how can I write a fixed value? If I cannot use, if I cannot use show types, so how could I do that? Text input, your text here, click and drag the middle grip to horizontally resize this object. Okay, and then how can I, okay, and then how can I actually, edit text, so that's going to be the value of 0, and can I plug this in here? Well, I guess that's what it is. A text panel, which is a new thing. Before we used panels. Now we have an input object for textual values, preset, picker, a value, define one or more values via text. Okay, so this is what the old panel would be. Use shift right to pan the contents of this object. Whoa! Parsers, angles, vectors. Interesting. So now I want text, so I can just, well, I want numbers actually. Numeric, angles, numbers, functions. Beautiful. And then I can plug this in here and then it works. Okay, so I guess that's closer to what I wanted. So we have basically a bunch of new inputs. Let me number line, shift control right mouse to zoom the contents of this object. So okay, so I have shift control right. Nice. Whoa, okay. That is very nice, actually. Very sweet. I'm liking this. What other inputs do we have? So we have that text input, preset picker. So I guess click and drag, and then I double click here. Where do I double click? How? So I can resize this. How do I actually right click, mouse button? Can I click here? It looks like I can't figure out. Value, this is what I did before. Protractor, like for angles. Okay. What else? Color swatch. I can double click here or right click this, and then we get what we had before. That's familiar. Display material. Whoa, this is very nice. Display material. So what is this? The click and drag on the middle to horizontally, and then how can I modify this? Right click or double click, change the name. I guess this one is in the works too. I can't figure out how to do this. So I'm just going to move on. Function editor, the function shift right okay. Okay, and then shift right mouse. Okay. And what if I want to zoom in? I can't really zoom in. And the function editor, whoa, this is nice. Polynomial, linear. Okay. So I'm not sure. function editor detail view, hierarchy, operators, binary, and unary calculus. Calculus, nice. Unary functions, sample, blend, interpolation, periodic. So I'm not sure how to. It looks like I crashed it. I crashed it. Yay! First crash. Okay, I crashed Rhino. Woohoo! Grasshopper. This is awesome. Let me go over and restart it again. Okay, so after I crashed Grasshopper, I guess the first thing I'm going to do is, after reconstructing what I did before, excuse me, I'm just going to save the file, right? I'm going to save as, and I can see that the new format is GHZ, and that's not the only option. So I guess I'm going to do Memorial Grasshopper 2 test, for example. And I'm actually just going to drop that file. I'm just going to drop it here, and it's probably going to be a binary, right? Yeah, it's a binary, so we can't really, yeah, so it doesn't really have an XML version. I guess maybe it could be unserialized into XML because it's probably just Huffman compressed of some kind. But I guess this is something we will learn in the future. Anyway, so I have the file now. I'm saving here. And what else do we have? All right, so what's next? So I'm going to make a grid of these points. So I was looking at parameters. I wanted the gradient editor. This is also quite nice. Yep. And I'm going to constant picker. What the pi? What the hell? Where is... There's no tau? David. Tau. Tau. Where is tau? Are we still here? Are we still in this? I think we were. Oh boy. We have the Euler-Mascheroni constant and we don't have tau. Okay. Well, we are unpacking things here. David, I'm going to publicly here offer a feature request. Can we just add tau here, just for the more non-pi oriented people of us? I would really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay, geometry, textual, electron mass. Whoa, that's kind of nice. All right, so input constant, utilities, a panel. So we know all this already. Quick graph. What is this? Inputs are displayed. Well, and relay. We know what the relay is. Data from file, data to file. All right, so let's keep moving. So vector. Now I want to make a grid with these. Do we still have the grid? Vector point plane. These are not sorted in alphabetical order anymore. Interesting. Was it in curves that we had grids? I guess we don't have grids anymore, so we're going to have to do it the old school way. So we're going to have to do vectors and stuff. So let me create then a numerical series. Data, or a list, order, sort, filter, meta from in order. Where did we have sequences? Okay, range up to number sequence. Okay, number sequence. Double click this. Parameters have multiple values. Remember, we had. I like the typeface. I like the mono space kind of. Okay, so let me do a panel. Oh, I do double forward slashes and I get a value input as opposed to a panel. Interesting. Okay, so I do this. This is the sequence. Loneliest number as bad as 1 to get ready. What? What is this? What is this stuff here? Huh. Loneliest number as bad as 1 to get ready 2 by 2. Sequence, the resulting numbers, self-referential. Sequence indicated it sequence. Self-referential. What is this? This is new. Sequences containing SN statements. I'm not sure what that means. Can we not have... What is this? I'm not sure what this is. Show columns. Display all inputs into separate horizontally aligned columns. I'm not sure what that is. I'm also not sure. Show types. Limitless integer. That's kind of nice to show the types, but I'm not sure that I like this. It's a lot. It's very confusing. Anyway, series, sequence and formula. To specify a formula, one item naturally defined. Can we extract that parameter? Value set one, set many, internalize, edit, remove. This is visible, this is hidden. Modifiers, a graph, a flatten, reverse. Ooh, okay. So now basically the inputs and the modifiers are embedded here with these nice icons. Renumber, randomize, sort, remove empties, remove invalids, remove nulls, remove metas. That's kind of nice. And we have a formula for the sequence. So naturals, initial sequence setup, no internal data, length of the final sequence. But I want to start with 0. So can I start with the value of 0? Yes. And then the length of the final sequence, but it gets 0, 2, 3. I'm not getting this. So how can I make a series where I control number sequence? Where I control sequence formula, numbers, potential, self-referential number sequence, initial sequence setup, count the length of the final sequence. So I want to be able to control this as well. If I do this, I don't get a slider. So I need to get a slider. What? I need slider, okay. And then natural numbers all the way up to 10. And I do this, and I don't want this anymore. And okay. And I guess there's a new parameter called formula that to define data text, a sequence of textual characters with no additional formatting or typesetting. Okay. Naturals. So if I type here naturals, I should get the same result. What is the error here? An unhandled error occurred, and I don't know what the error is. All right, I need help here. Does anyone know how to make a simple numerical series? Naturals. Okay, so I'm going to take a second to figure this out. Okay, I got this. The problem was that I was just choosing the wrong component, really. It turns out that before, in Grasshopper 1, we had two words. We had the range when we wanted to create numbers between two extremes, and we had series when we wanted to create numbers from one, starting at one point and controlling the interval. Now it looks like everything is called range, and if we choose range from steps, then what we get is initial value on the range. So that's going to be the 0, and then the step size is going to be, in this case, is going to be something that I want to control. So I'm going to be dropping here a slider, for example. And then the amount of elements will be something that I also want to control as well. So that's going to be this thing here. And then that is giving me this. And I guess I can control this, right? Beautiful. And then this component is giving me a new thing, which is this kind of expression of how to create this range. It's a literal expression that says something like 0, 9. So starting with 0, 9 elements at this interval. I wonder if that's something that I can use to create a custom range with the number sequence that I had before. So if I do this, and I instead initial sequence setup, length of final sequence, sequence formula. I wonder if I can just say, can you give me a sequence that looks like 0 dot dot 9 elements, where is it, 10 elements dot dot and intervals of 1? Is it 2 dots or 3 dots? Yes. And whoa, what I get is, this very strange sequence that is not what I expected. I wonder if there's another component. Range from expression, and that's what we want. It's a range that, given this expression here, oh, no, an unhandled error occurs. So let me disconnect this. Ooh, how do I disconnect? I guess, oh, did you see that? Now we can choose wires. And the expression here is from 0 to 100. 100? Wait, how can I scroll? If I have all these elements here, how can I scroll a panel? Oh, I cannot scroll a panel? Ah, that is not great. I should be able to. How do I scroll this panel? I guess that's not a feature yet, scrolling the panel. Also, Victor from the chat is pointing out that perhaps turning on names is going to be... So it looks like we have this thing called show names, and it basically pops up this balloon to show us the name of things. For those of you who are not icon people, it looks like Grasshopper 2 is definitely oriented towards icons. I agree with that as a design decision, but I can see how that's going to be contested by parts of the community, but I think this is a really good compromise. And we've been using this idea of the balloon tooltips with names anyway in the channel. So using parachute or using this bifocals logic. So I think that's actually great. Okay, so range from expression, no scrolling on the panels. That's unfortunate. Well, whatever. So let's move this. So I'm going to create one in one direction. Can I group things? I can still not group things. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to zoom out on the canvas. If I zoom out on the canvas, what happens? Oh, if I zoom out, everything collapses to the tiny icon. Whoa, I kind of like that actually. But if I zoom out, the names disappear, which is not great for non-icon people. Interesting. That's kind of nice. All right, so now I have series in two directions, so I would like to turn each. I'm going to keep that just so that I can see it. I'm going to keep that around. So I'm going to do, I guess I'm going to move this somewhere here, and I'm going to keep my inputs here. I'm going to move this somewhere here as well, and I'm going to keep my inputs here. So I'm going to take this point. I'm going to take this point and I'm going to copy it with this vector. So in transform, move, I'm going to move this shape. So that's going to be this shape with this vector. So I'm going to create x vectors in the x direction. Magnitude of the vector in the x direction. So the magnitudes are going to be all of this. And then I am going to, why do I have, yes, I'm going to use this, okay? So now I have all these vectors points here, okay? And then I'm going to create a vector in the y direction, vector y, world y. So that's going to be this vector here, and I will move all these elements, oops, sorry. I'm going to move all these elements in the y direction, but then I get, oh, look at this nice box preview that I'm getting here. Where is that coming from? Visible, I don't want this visible. I don't want this visible. I don't want this visible. Is it coming from this? Visible. So where is it coming from? I wonder if it's just like a global thing, Grasshopper global thing. Anyway, but what I need to do is you can see that this move up, the objects are moved, each one, the points are moved, each one of them. Yeah, it's a bounding box for all the geometry, but how can I disable that or turn it on and off? Anyway, so we can see that each point is moved independently, so I want to move all of them together, so I'm going to have to do some grafting here. So do we have grafting? I know we have grafting. If I right click here, I can probably graft and then I get the effect that I want, and then I can see that this output has the grafted list. I'm really not liking this thing here. It's a little too much. It's a little clogged for my taste. And I cannot scroll in the panel yet. And I get this, and then I can see, yeah. But I would like to graft manually. You know that I like grafting things manually. So I'm going to graft the tree like this, and I'm going to remove the graft. Okay. And so I have all the points here, and therefore I can control how many points in each direction, how many points in the other direction. So that's looking neat. All right. So now I'm going to create a surface that I will import into Rhino, into Grasshopper, and I will use as the design surface. So let me create that surface by doing a loft, for example. So I'm going to create a curve that is going to be like this, and I'm going to create another curve a little bit like this, a little bit like this, and a final curve that is going to be like this perhaps. Okay, and I'm going to move this one here. Do I have the gumball? Okay, there you go, the gumball. And I'm going to, these two ones, I'm going to put them here, and I'm going to loft them together. So I'm going to loft this one, and this one into a, yeah, that's fine. Okay. Beautiful. And where is Grasshopper? Where did Grasshopper go? There you go. Here you are. So I'm going to now take this surface and bring it into, we should ghost it. Yes. X-ray. No, ghosted. I want ghosted. Oh, but ghosted hides the Grasshopper geometry underneath. Okay. So let me bring this surface, okay, as an input, surface as an input. I'm going to set one, and that's going to be this one. And you can see now the bounding box and the orange color of how it's highlighted. I'm going to hide the one in Rhino. But this is not transparent. It's actually occluding. Can I preview geometry? Preview meshes. Enable, disable meshes. And now I only get this faint representation. Interesting. So now I get the preview of surfaces is not anymore how it used to be, the inclusion of shaded mesh elements in the preview. Okay. So now it's just this temporary line kind of situation. If I turn it off, or this opaque, I guess at some point they will give the option of previewing geometry of, okay, let me hide this as well. I guess at some point they will give the option of previewing geometry with transparent colors, but right now it's a little inconvenient because it kind of occludes everything. Maybe an option in the display panel to turn off the box. Okay, so well, we have the surface. Okay, so now I'm going to project those points upwards. I wonder if that is already, I wonder if that is included. evaluate sphere, area, surface from 5 points, pool, surface, surface, fit surface. Sphere from line. Okay, so it looks like maybe I don't have that option. Let me find an option for projecting the points onto the surface. All right, folks, long story short, I was trying to take these points in on the floor and then project them up to the surface, but it turns out that that option, so that those components are still not embedded in this version of Grasshopper 2. There's no point projection that I can see really, and to project to a surface. So what I was trying to do as well was then, well, I was trying to basically, instead of having this surface, which I'm not going to have anymore, so instead of having that surface as a projection, then just create a sine wave and use that sine wave to define the height of each one of the blocks. I was trying to use this new functionality, so it looks like Grasshopper 2 comes with a new set of functional representations of operations, which is actually quite nice, and you can aggregate them together, you can chain them. It's pretty interesting. And then you can evaluate that function. But I did not find a way to do that in 2 dimensions because I wanted to represent this kind of formula where, depending on the x and the y coordinate of the point, I can modify that by, I can modify the frequency of each one of those two. I can do the sine wave of the combination, and then I can have an amplitude to control how high or how short those heights are. But it turns out that I could compose the functions, use each one independently, but there was no way that I could do a function that takes 2 different variables. I just could not find this on the option. So I ended up doing the same logic, but just doing it manually. So I set up the frequencies in the x direction, the y direction, the amplitude, and I'm going to copy this here just for the sake of reference, right? And a minimum height. And I ended up just basically replicating this expression that I have here in this form, here, because also I couldn't really find the expression component, something that we had in Grasshopper 1 where you could write an expression literal like this and then just execute it. I just really couldn't find that. It may not be here yet, or I'm not sure. Okay. So we just did this manually, which is fine. And then I took the x and y coordinate of each point. I pass it through this function, this that I composed here. And then I was able to now, if I turn this on, what are the points? If I turn this on, I could, sorry, where did the points go? The points are here, right? Yes. Yeah, I am not entirely sure why these are not showing up. Oh, sorry. I am not entirely sure why they're not showing up. Let me restart this whole thing and see what the problem might be. Okay, so I restarted Rhino and these points here are still not showing up, and I don't know what's going on, but they're actually there because if I actually pass them through an empty parameter, they show up here. So maybe that's one of the bugs because it's still a very early alpha. So I'm just going to go with this, and you can see that if I actually turn off these points here and these points here and all the other points, you can see that I can control the amplitude and the parameters of the sine, which I'm going to go with something like that, and the minimum height, and yes, I can control something like that. Beautiful. So that is for the height of the points. I actually don't even need this height because what I want is to now create boxes on the points underneath. So on actually these points here on the base, okay? And just use this height as the height of those boxes. So let me create a bunch of planes, XY planes, Where is this? I'm going to create a bunch of XY planes with these centers. Okay, and I can see that the planes are now gray and they're very big. I wonder if in the preview settings, oh, all right. So in the preview settings, I have this axis width is 2 pixels, axis, set the color for the selected X, Y planes, and but I want to make the size of these smaller. How can I make the size of the planes smaller? How can I make that? Let me take a look at that. Plane axis width, so no, so that's a different thing. Clearly, at the lines and the colors, so I don't see, before it used to be its own option that was somewhere. But I guess that's also still on the works. So we can't really control the size of the planes right now, which is okay. So let's go for, okay, so let's create a box. Box from a center, for example. And for the center, I want each one of these boxes and I want the width, which I'm going to control with a slider. I want the height, which I'm also going to control with a slider. And the height is going to be each one of these Z coordinates, but that's going to give me boxes that are going in 2 directions. So maybe I don't want that one. Maybe I want a box from intervals. So I want this one, and I want an interval from data. Do I have intervals? Interval between transitions, interval from gap. Where are these? Where are all of these? The intervals. Operators, functions, sequence, trigonometry, random, statistics, special, data, order, partition, punch, punch, punch. I am not sure what they are. Text, vector, curve, surface, mesh, transform, display, math. I feel they should be here, but maybe they still don't have their own parameters. Okay, so interval, interval which fills the gap between 2 other intervals. So I guess they are interval from limits. So I guess this is going to be interval 0 to 1, and from lower to upper ascending interval, interval. I'm not sure what the difference between those two is, but let's do it the manual way then. So I'm going to multiply each one of these values by 0.5, and so that's going to be half, and then I'm going to negate. We don't have negate, so I guess I'm gonna have to multiply by -1 one of these, so that's going to be, I like how not having the full feature set, it's basically asking you to go back to the fundamentals of writing things on your own. So I want one interval which is going to be from the positive to the negative, actually the other way around, from the negative to the positive, and that's going to be from -25 to +25. All right, so that's one. I'm going to copy and paste this for the other one, and that's going to be another interval from the -1 to the +1, and that's going to be y, and then z. Let's see if you can take the interval. Let me save. If I can take without, there you go. Okay, beautiful. So it looks like now it's doing what we want it to, and I'm going to stop the visualization of this. I'm also going to stop the visualization of this. Alrighty, so we have this now, which is kind of close to the Berlin Holocaust Memorial, and we can play with the undulation. we can play with the amplitude, and we can play with the minimum height. Okay. Alrighty. So that was the first attempt at using Grasshopper 2 at its basic form. Okay, what are the first impressions, first takeaways? Well, first of all, the UI is extremely revamped in a way that I like a lot. I am very, very much in favor of icons, and all the transitions are very nice. I like showing the names. I like dark mode. I think it's great. I think the idea of being able to choose wires and delete them manually, it's also really nice. I like the color set. I do actually think that this whole functional representation of stuff looks extremely promising. I was just teaching a class on shaders yesterday, literally. So I think that would be very powerful and potentially. And it is true that it's still very early. There's a bunch of features that are missing. There's probably still a lot of work to be done, but I think it's looking pretty neat so far. So I'm excited about what's coming up. I hear that Grasshopper 2 will be breaking. It will mean that it will just not be possible to load files from Grasshopper 1, at least until at least that will take a while. I've also heard that plugins will not be transferable, so plugins will have to be rewritten from scratch. That will also take some time for the community to adapt. But I think it's looking pretty neat so far. So definitely on the UI side of things, it's looking great. Let's see about functionality. I see that some areas have gotten also a lot of new components, which is kind of cool as well. And I also hear that functionality-wise, it's also performance-wise, it also has a lot of improvements. But if you want to learn more, there is a full post that David wrote last week, right, where he was talking about what is going on, what to expect, etc., etc. Something that I could probably have chosen. I should have read before getting into all of this, but but yeah, and the documentation. Apparently, there's been a lot of work done and the documentation as well, which is great. So far, so good. I'm very excited. I believe the full working Grasshopper 2 public release is still a long time to come, maybe many months, maybe even years still to have like a full stable release. But it's exciting. It will be very cool when it happens. But for the meantime, I think we're still going to be using Grasshopper 1 for a while. I don't think I have time in this video to cover what the other thing that I wanted to cover, which is Rhino code, but perhaps we can do that on the next video or on the next live stream or whatever. All right. Well, thank you very much. That was it for this video unboxing of Grasshopper 2. And if you like what you saw, perhaps like this video, share with your friends, subscribe to the channel, etc., etc. Okay? Beautiful. Thank you very much and see you on the next video. Bye-bye.